Okay. To what extent has sexism inhibited career advancements in the athletic field? By Nina Nanduri. It's important to know the history to know where it all started. It's almost been 101 years since the 19th Amendment was written, granting women the ability to vote. Historically, women that managed to enter traditionally male programs were victims to overt sexual harassment. Though this particular trend has slightly changed over the years, the reality is that women are still being treated differently despite their persistent activism, especially in the sports field, with an instrumental gap between women's and men's participation in the sports field. It is sad that this trend has continued. To begin with, women are subjected to acts of inequality that prevent them from assuming roles that they are qualified for. Wage discrimination is a prime example. The fact that women make less money than men, even though they work just as hard as them, is unfair and unacceptable. Evidence shows that a women's soccer team in 2015 was paid a quarter of what men earn in spite of them generating 20 million more than men that year. This shows the unethical and inexcusable treatment against women that through wage discrimination, even when they are more successful than the men's soccer team. Another statistic shown on the left side compares the pay gap between women and men's sports with a trend of women being paid less. The bottom line is that women deserve equal pay and there shouldn't be a gender wage gap. Though gender-based pay discrimination has been illegal since 1963, it is still frequent. Efforts must be made to fix pay disparities so that women feel more equal and as qualified in their roles in the sports community as men. It's terrifying that women always have to be cautious of predatory men taking advantage of them. This is a dangerous factor that is taken seriously, which is why some women tend to back out from athletic programs. Since such behavior as sexual assault is expected to happen to women in the field, a level of precaution is considered before applying in anything sports related. Evidence shows that such cases happening in gymnastic programs with decades of abuse that has affected hundreds of women. Sadly, this seems only to be a one-sided issue. Men in this field rarely experience sexual assault, whereas women are always potential victims. As shown on the left side, we see a comparison between women and men and how women are sexually have more frequent sexual harassment. Another possibility is that the lack of representation within the athletic field discourages women from seeking out jobs. Since sports have been a traditionally male field, reporters and the media tend to devote their time interviewing and journaling men's sports, leaving women's sports excluded and behind. There are many studies suggesting airtime covering men's sports are more substantial compared to women's sports, such as ESPN. The statistic on the left shows that less than 10% of sports news articles are written by female journalists, and more than 3/4 of the sports news article focus on sportsmen. The media has a strong influence on the audience's beliefs. And the woman is publicized, especially in the sports field. They are often portrayed as inactive or socially acceptable. Therefore, female athletes have been widely underrepresented. Regardless of how much women are underrepresented, having role models positively affects young girls participating in the sports. It's essential that they have people who inspire them, especially the same gender, to continue to participate. They need to be a more gender-neutral oriented sports community, and it's ever so pronounced, garnering the need for increased female representation and enrollment in sports organizations. It is also true that stereotypes preferring men often create an unfavorable environment. Women are conditioned by their sexist oppression in contemporary society to not engage with physical activity as much as men from an early age. In society's eyes, women aren't built to play sports. Participating in athletic field isn't the ideal role for women, and it isn't considered an occupation that women are suitable for. The movement of women while doing physical activity is criticized and made fun of by men. Examples of this include taunts such as "you hit like a girl" or "you throw like a girl," which are considered usual stereotypes in today's society, used to describe one's inadequacy. Insulting or offensive statements such as these both discourage girls from playing sports and create an unfavorable environment for developing confidence and pride in one's gender identity. However, today's negative inclination on their status as inferior makes it all the more challenging, constantly fighting against a sexist society. It is vital that women's stereotypical views are corrected and that men's behavior using sexist comments should be changed. Though inequality, sexism, and stereotyping cause women to give up sports, some women consciously choose to avoid progressing within sports-related careers due to motherhood or other personal reasons. The common examples include lack of time, negative body image, and motherhood. While men are likely to engage in sports for fun, spend time with friends, and to improve physical performance, women are concerned more about controlling their weight, improving physical appearance, and decreasing the effects of aging, which is a more cosmetic approach. These are all examples of girls' insecurities in situations that potentially make them look away from sports-related careers. With this in mind, it is still important for women to participate in some sort of physical activity or sport. Many psychological and cognitive benefits come from participating in them. They include prevention of specific mood impairments such as depression, strengthening the immune system to cope with certain diseases, and reducing stress. In conclusion, there are many reasons and barriers to women's lack of participation in the athletic field. This includes acts of sexism, harassment, underrepresentation, and other personal reasons. Women in this field are constantly being discriminated against, and they need to work hard in order to prove themselves in a sexist society to be accepted. There are some solutions that people can execute to prevent this, such as supporting more female athletes as fans, avoiding sexist communication or language, and lastly, hire more female sports executives and encourage women and girls to pursue careers in the athletic field. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
I do have two questions for you. First question, how valid and reliable were the sources that you used, and how do you know?
I consider all the sources that I use reliable. I searched up the people that wrote them, and I made sure that they were academically strong, like based on their profession or and their information was pretty valid.
Okay, and next question. If you had more time, what additional research would you conduct related to this issue?
I would do additional research on how sports benefit women. I think I did a lot of research on why women get suppressed through sexism, but I think for my counterclaim, I should add more reasons as to why they should continue to keep playing or being involved in the athletic field.